Imagine the Northern Hemisphere 10,000 years ago. It was a frozen expanse where temperatures regularly dropped far below freezing, and apex predators like cave lions patrolled the plains. The landscape was a harsh, endless steppe. Here, winter was the dominant force, locking the ground in ice for the vast majority of the year. For most mammals, this was an unlivable environment. It was a resource-starved wilderness that offered almost no protection from the elements. To thrive in this space, a creature would need a biological design that pushed the known limits of mammalian endurance. This was the domain of the woolly mammoth, the undisputed giant of the frozen plains. At 4 meters tall and weighing up to 6 tons, the mammoth was a massive physical presence, as shown here alongside a modern human and its prehistoric rivals. But that size came with a cost. As an herbivore, the mammoth had to find enough grass and shrubs to fuel its 6-ton frame, even when the vegetation was buried deep under packed ice. The fact that such a massive animal flourished in a starving environment suggests its body was working through a specific set of problems that other species couldn't solve. Survival began with layers of insulation. A thick, shaggy outer coat trapped heat, while a dense layer of subcutaneous fat provided a biological barrier against the plummeting temperatures. While those layers kept the animal warm, its most recognizable feature allowed it to interact with the environment: the enormous, curved tusks. This skull shows the sweeping curve of the tusks. This geometry allowed the mammoth to act like a snowplow, clearing deep drifts to reach buried food. When threatened, the sheer thickness and pointed tips of this ivory became a defensive weapon against pack hunters. Every physical characteristic was a specialized tool, refined over generations for life in a world of ice. But the mammoth's physical traits were only effective when supported by a complex social structure. Led by experienced matriarchs, mammoth herds functioned as tight-knit units. The older females instinctively coordinated the entire group, standing strong together to protect the vulnerable young from predators. These family units relied on a shared memory of the landscape, navigating massive migration routes to find food as the seasons changed. They stayed in contact using deep, low-frequency sounds. As this diagram shows, these long wavelength rumbles can travel for miles across a flat steppe, whereas higher pitches are quickly scattered by the Arctic winds. Between their impressive physical resilience and this complex social coordination, the mammoth was a perfectly tuned survival machine. However, the very conditions the mammoth was built for began to disappear as the Ice Age came to an end. Rising temperatures caused a massive environmental shift. Glaciers retreated, and the open grasslands were slowly overtaken by spreading forests. This warming trend fragmented the mammoth's habitat. Without the vast open plains, their primary food sources became increasingly scarce. At the same time, the herds faced a new pressure: the arrival of human hunters. Humans used coordination and these stone projectile points to hunt. The sharp edges and varied designs of these tools allowed humans to inflict lethal wounds from a distance, neutralizing the mammoth's size advantage. The mammoth was caught in a pincer move of history. A changing climate took away their food, while human technology targeted their remaining populations. The once great herds began to vanish. Their numbers dropped as the available territory continued to shrink. The species reached a final turning point roughly 4,000 years ago, when the last known population disappeared from a remote island in the Arctic. While the herds are gone, the permafrost has kept their story intact. These tusks, still embedded in the frozen earth, show how the cold that once sustained them also preserved them. These specimens allow modern researchers to study everything from the mammoth's genetic code to the specific plants they ate for their final meal. The mammoth's story is a study in the risks of perfection. They were the masters of their environment, but when that environment changed, their high degree of specialization became a path to extinction.